I am 68 years old, and I am about to tell you something I have never told anyone outside my family. For 32 years, I had a best friend named Patricia. We did everything together, raised our kids together, celebrated every holiday together, cried on each other's shoulders through every heartbreak. She was closer to me than my own sister. But 5 years ago, I discovered something that shattered everything I thought I knew. Patricia had been systematically destroying my life, piece by piece, for over 2 decades. And the worst part, I had helped her do it. This is the story of how I lost everything, and how I got it all back by finally standing up to the person I trusted most. My name is Helen Morrison, and this is my truth. Let me take you back to 1991. I was 36 years old, newly moved to Sacramento, California with my husband David, and our 2 kids, Michael, who was 8, and sweet little Amy, just 6 years old. David had gotten a promotion at the engineering firm, and we would bought our first real house. Not fancy, mind you, but it was ours. 3 bedrooms, a backyard with a lemon tree, and a front porch where I would dreamed of drinking coffee and watching my kids grow up. I was lonely, though. I would left behind my whole life in Ohio, my mother, my sister, my childhood friends. Sacramento was beautiful, but I did not know a soul. Then I met Patricia Thornton. She lived 3 houses down in a beautiful colonial with rose bushes that made my little garden look pitiful. She was stunning, tall, blonde, always perfectly dressed even at 8 in the morning. The kind of woman you would see in a department store catalog. I was intimidated by her, honestly. But one morning, she showed up at my door with fresh-baked cinnamon rolls and the warmest smile. She said, "You must be Helen. I am Patricia, but everyone calls me Trish. I have been meaning to come by and welcome you to the neighborhood. I have a daughter Amy's age. They should be friends." And just like that, I had a best friend. Over the next few years, Patricia and I became inseparable. Our daughters, Amy and Melissa, were in the same class. We carpooled, had playdates, threw birthday parties together. Patricia seemed to know everything about everything. She knew which teachers to request at school, which doctors were best, where to shop for the best deals. She had grown up in Sacramento. Her family had money, old money, and she knew everyone. She introduced me around. Suddenly, I was getting invited to book clubs, garden parties, fundraisers. I felt like Cinderella, and Patricia was my fairy godmother. My husband David thought she was wonderful. He would say, "You are lucky to have a friend like Trish. She really looks out for you." And she did. Or so I thought. There were little moments, tiny things that I brushed off because I did not want to seem ungrateful. Like when I got excited about volunteering for the PTA, and Patricia said, "Oh honey, that is wonderful. Though between you and me, you might want to work on your public speaking first. You get so nervous in front of people. I would hate for you to embarrass yourself." I believed her. I would always been shy, and she was trying to protect me. So I did not volunteer, or when I mentioned taking a pottery class, and she laughed, "Pottery? Helen, you can barely keep your houseplants alive. Maybe start with something simpler?" So I did not take the class. Or when I wore a dress I loved to church, and she pulled me aside and said, "Sweetie, that color washes you out. You need to stick to earth tones with your complexion. Trust me, I am just trying to help." I went home and put the dress in the back of my closet. Looking back now, I can see what she was doing. But at the time, I just thought she was being a good friend, honest, helpful. The first real crack came in 1998. My mother passed away from cancer. I was devastated. Mom and I had been close, and even though I would seen it coming, the grief swallowed me whole. Patricia was there for everything. She helped plan the funeral, flew to Ohio with me, held my hand through it all. I do not know how I would have survived without her. Mom left me a small inheritance, $30,000. It was not a fortune, but it was something. David and I talked about what to do with it. I wanted to use it to start a small business. I would always dreamed of opening a bookstore, nothing huge, just a cozy little shop with a coffee counter where people could browse and chat. David thought it was a great idea. I was so excited when I told Patricia. She got very quiet. Then she took my hands and looked me in the eye. She said, "Helen, I love you. So I am going to be honest with you. Do you know how many small businesses fail in the first year? Over 50%. And bookstores. With the internet growing? Honey, you would lose everything. I said, but I have done research. She said, research does not mean real-world experience. Look, I know you are grieving your mom, and maybe you are not thinking clearly. What does David really think? Not what he told you. What does he really think? She planted the seed of doubt. If you would like to hear more real-life stories like this one, the lessons I have learned through the years, I would be so honored if you would subscribe to this channel, because your support helps me keep sharing these stories that might bring comfort or strength to someone who needs it. That night, I asked David again. I said, "Do you really think the bookstore is a good idea?" He hesitated, just for a second. He said, "Well, it is a risk. Hell, but if it is your dream." That hesitation was all I needed to hear. Patricia suggested we invest the money instead. She knew a financial advisor, very reputable, managed her family's money. I could meet with him, set up a safe, smart investment plan for the kids' college funds. It seemed responsible, mature, so that is what I did. I gave up my dream because I believed I was not capable of achieving it. Over the next decade, the pattern continued. I just did not see it yet. When I got excited about going back to school to finish my degree, Patricia reminded me how hard it had been for her sister-in-law, how she would failed out and wasted all that money. When I thought about applying for a part-time job at the library, Patricia mentioned that the hiring manager was very particular and maybe I should wait until I had more recent work experience. When Amy wanted to try out for the school play and I wanted to help with costumes, Patricia suggested that Melissa's involvement might make it awkward. What if Amy did not get the part and Melissa did? Better to avoid potential conflict. Every dream I had, Patricia found a reason it would not work. And the whole time, she was living her best life. She went back to school, got her real estate license, started her own business, joined every committee, led every fundraiser. Everyone knew Patricia Thornton, and everyone knew me as Patricia's friend, Helen, the quiet one, the nervous one, the one who needed looking after. My husband David traveled more for work. My kids grew up. Amy went to college in Oregon. Michael got married and moved to Texas. And I stayed in Sacramento, in my little house with a lemon tree, having coffee with Patricia 3 times a week, living smaller and smaller. 5 years ago, everything changed. It was April 2019. I was at Patricia's house, her beautiful, perfectly decorated house, having our usual Tuesday morning coffee. Her phone rang. She glanced at it and frowned. She said, "I need to take this. It is a client. Make yourself comfortable. Honey, I will just be a minute." She went into her office and closed the door. I sat there, sipping my coffee, looking around her immaculate living room. That is when I noticed a box on her bookshelf, a beautiful wooden box I would never seen before. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, and newspaper clippings. My hands started shaking as I looked through them. There was a photo of a bookstore, Morrison's Books and Coffee, with a woman standing in front. She looked happy, successful. The caption read, "Local entrepreneur celebrates 5th anniversary." The woman's name was Helen Morrison. But it was not me. There was another woman, different Helen Morrison, in a different city, who had opened the bookstore I would dreamed of. There were more, different women, all named Helen or similar names, all doing things I would want it to do, running businesses, getting degrees, winning awards, and there were photos of me, pictures I did not remember, Patricia taking, me looking uncertain, me in that dress she said looked bad, I looked beautiful in it. Me at moments when I would been excited about something, with little notes in Patricia's handwriting that said, before I talked her out of it, my blood ran cold. There was a journal. I knew I should not, but I opened it. The first entry was dated 1991, the year we met. It said, "Met the new neighbor today, Helen Morrison. She is pretty in an understated way, but more importantly, she is weak. I can tell. The husband's going places. The kids are cute, they have potential. She does not realize what she has. This will be easy." I could not breathe. I kept reading. my heart pounding. Another entry said, convinced Helen not to join PTA leadership. Cannot have her making connections without me there to manage it. She trusts everything I say. It is almost too easy. Another one said, Helen wanted to open a bookstore with her inheritance. Ridiculous. She would probably make a success of it, and then where would I be? Managed to scare her out of it. Suggested my financial advisor instead. He will keep that money tied up nicely. Another said, Amy got the lead in the school play. Melissa got ensemble. Told Helen it would be awkward if she helped with costumes. Cannot let her bond with the other mothers without my supervision. Amy performed beautifully. Too bad Helen was not backstage to see it. Melissa said Helen sat in the audience crying with pride. Good. Let her feel like that is all she deserves. Entry after entry, year after year, my entire adult life documented as a manipulation. The office door opened. Patricia said, sorry about that. Helen, where were we? I was standing there, holding her journal, tears streaming down my face. Patricia's expression changed. The warm smile vanished. For the first time in 32 years, I saw her real face, cold, calculating. She said, you went through my private things. Not an apology, not an explanation, an accusation. My voice shook, but I said the words. Who are you? Who are you really? Patricia sighed, like I was a child who would discovered where the Christmas presents were hidden. She said, oh, Helen, you were never supposed to see that. I said, you have been, what, sabotaging me? For 30 years? Why? She sat down, crossed her legs, completely calm. She said, sabotaging is such an ugly word. I prefer guiding. You were always so full of ideas, Helen, so eager, but you never had the follow-through. I was doing you a favor, protecting you from failure. I said, that is not your decision to make. She said, is not it? You gave me that power. Every single time you asked my opinion, you handed me control of your life. That is not my fault, that is yours. I felt like I would been slapped. I said, why? Why would you do this to someone you called your best friend? For the first time, something real crossed her face. Something ugly. She said, because I could. Because you were so pathetically grateful for my friendship. Because your life was perfect. Perfect husband, perfect kids, perfect potential, and you did not even appreciate it. You were going to waste it all being ordinary. So I made sure of it. I said, you are sick. She said, I am honest. She stood up, towering over me. You want to know the truth, Helen? I have enjoyed every minute of it. Watching you make yourself smaller and smaller while I built my empire. You were so easy to control. One little comment about how you were not good enough and you would fold like a cheap card table. Neo-tier ones. If my story is touching your heart in any way, I would be so grateful if you would like this video and share it with your family and friends, because sometimes our experiences can help others realize they are not alone in their struggles, and your share might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. She really believed it. She would convince herself that she was the victim here. I looked at Patricia, this woman who would control my life for 3 decades, and I felt something I never expected. Pity. I said, Patricia, do you have any real friends? She said, I have dozens of friends. I said, no, real friends. People who know the real you. People you are not performing for or controlling or using to make yourself feel important. She stared at me. I said, do you have anyone you can call at 3 in the morning when you are scared? Anyone you can be ugly and messy and wrong with, and they will still love you? She started to say, I do not need. I interrupted and said, everyone needs that, Patricia. And I feel sorry for you, because you have spent so much energy keeping everyone around you weak, that you never learned how to just be with people. She said, I do not need your pity. I said, I know. But you have it anyway. I turned to walk away. She said, Helen, wait. I stopped. Her voice was different, smaller. She said, how do you do it? How do you just start over? I turned back. For the first time in 32 years, Patricia looked vulnerable. I said, you start by telling the truth. To yourself, first, and then to the people you have hurt. She said, I cannot. People will hate me. I said, some will, but the right people will give you a chance to do better. If you actually try to do better, she said. Is that what you are doing? Giving me a chance? I thought about it. I said, I am giving you information. What you do with it is up to you. But Patricia, I cannot be in your life anymore. You hurt me too much. For too long. I forgive you, because holding on to anger will only hurt me. But forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. She said, so that is it? 32 years, and you just walk away? I said, no. You walked away the day you decided I was something to be controlled instead of someone to be loved. I am just finally accepting it. I left her standing there. That was 3 years ago. I am 68 now, and my life looks nothing like it did. I never did open a bookstore. That dream belonged to younger Helen. And that is okay. But I did volunteer at a library, and eventually they hired me part-time. I run the community reading programs now. I took the pottery class. I am not great, but I love it. My house is full of slightly lopsided bowls and mugs that make me smile. I joined the community theater, not as an actress, but doing costumes. Turns out I have a knack for it. We just finished a production of Our Town, and the director said my work was beautiful. I am taking painting classes. I am terrible, but Martha, who takes them with me, is worse. So we laughed through the whole thing. David and I are doing better. We went to counseling. We talked about how we would both checked out of our marriage and our lives. We are dating again. Can you imagine? After 43 years of marriage, we are dating. Last month, he took me to Ireland. We walked the cliffs of Moher and kissed in the rain like teenagers. Amy visits more. She brought her girlfriend to meet me last Christmas. I did not even know she was gay. She said she would been afraid to tell me, afraid I would judge. We cried together, and I told her I was just proud she was brave enough to live her truth. That is something her mother is still learning. Michael calls every Sunday. He told me he would always worried about me, how small I made myself. Seeing me come alive again has inspired him to make changes in his own life. And my friends, my real friends, they are the family I chose. We have dinners, take trips, support each other through hard times. When Tom's dog died last month, we all showed up at his house with food and tissues and just sat with him. That is what real friendship looks like. You are probably wondering about Patricia. I heard through the grapevine that things fell apart for her. People started comparing notes, realizing she would said of similar manipulative things to many of them. Her daughter Melissa apparently confronted her about things from childhood. I do not know the details, but they are estranged now. Her real estate business is struggling. People do not trust her like they used to. Part of me feels bad for her, but a bigger part of me knows that consequences are not punishment, they are information. Patricia is getting information about who she has been. What she does with it is her choice. 6 months ago, I got a letter from her. It was short. It said, Helen, you were right. I do not have any real friends. I do not know if I ever have. I am in therapy, trying to understand why I am the way I am. I do not expect forgiveness, and I am not asking for another chance. I just wanted you to know that your words at the farmer's market changed my life. I am trying to be better. I hope you are well. Signed, P. I did not respond. Maybe someday I will. But right now, I am focused on my own healing. Here's what I want you to understand, especially if you are young. Not everyone who offers friendship is a friend. Some people see your light and want to help it shine brighter. Other people see your light and want to be the only one holding the dimmer switch. Learn to tell the difference. Real friends celebrate your successes. They encourage your dreams, even if those dreams do not include them. They tell you the truth, yes, but they do it to build you up, not tear you down. Toxic people disguise control as care. They will say they are just being honest or trying to protect you while they systematically destroy your confidence. And here is the hard part. They can only do it if you let them. I let Patricia control me for 32 years because I believed I needed her approval. I believed she knew better than I did. I handed her the power to define my worth. That was my responsibility, not hers, mine. So if you are in a relationship, friendship, romance, family, where someone makes you feel small, where you are constantly seeking their approval, where your dreams go to die, ask yourself, am I being loved or am I being managed? And if the answer is managed, you have a choice to make. It will not be easy. It was not easy for me. I lost the life I knew, but I gained the life I deserved. You are never too old to start over, never too far gone to reclaim yourself, never too broken to rebuild. I was 63 when I finally stood up for myself. 63. Some people would say that is too late. But these last 5 years have been the best of my life, because they are mine, my choices, my dreams, my authentic self. Do not wait until you are 63. Do not wait until you are 30 or 40 or 50. Start today. Tell the truth. Set the boundaries. Walk away from people who diminish you. And find the people who see you, really see you, and love what they see. Those are your people. Everyone else is just taking up space that could be filled with joy. You deserve joy. You deserve authentic love. You deserve to take up space. Do not let anyone convince you otherwise. Not a friend, not a partner, not a family member. No one gets to make you smaller. You are enough. You were always enough. It just took me 63 years to believe it. Thank you for listening to an old lady's story. If this resonated with you, if you know someone who needs to hear it, I would be grateful if you would share it. Sometimes, we all need a reminder that it is never too late to choose ourselves. And if I would like to hear more stories from my life, the messy, beautiful truth of it, please subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Every person who subscribes reminds me that our stories matter, that we are not alone in our struggles. I will be here, in my drawing room, with my lopsided pottery and my second chance life, telling the truth, because that is what I do now. I tell the truth. And the truth is, you are worth fighting for, even if the fight is with yourself. Thank you, dear hearts. Until next time. If you would like to hear more real-life stories like this one, the lessons I have learned through the years, I would be so honored if you would subscribe to this channel, because your support helps me keep sharing these stories that might bring comfort or strength to someone who needs it.